Gentlemen and ladies, welcome back to our channel, your favorite TV channel gist. In today's gist from the Oval Office, heart of global power, where decisions that shake nations are made daily. Now imagine the President of the United States, not discussing military strategy, not signing billion-dollar deals, not negotiating treaties, but instead, speaking with genuine admiration about two actors from Lagos. Sounds like fiction, doesn't it? Like something you'd see in a feel-good movie where the underdog finally gets their moment. But this isn't Hollywood magic or a screenwriter's fantasy. This actually happened. Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States, took time to publicly praise Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche, two brilliant stars from Nollywood. Let that sink in for a moment. In a world obsessed with tech billionaires, sports legends, and pop superstars, the leader of the free world chose to spotlight Nigerian storytellers. If you're wondering why this matters so deeply, or if you're thinking it's just a compliment, then buckle up, because you're about to understand why this moment is so much bigger than it appears on the surface. This recognition isn't just a pat on the back or a random shout-out. It represents something profound, the validation that Nigerian creativity has crashed through every barrier, every stereotype, every limitation that the world tried to place on African talent. For decades, Nollywood operated in the shadows of global cinema, producing thousands of films that touched hearts across Africa but rarely received acknowledgement beyond the continent. Actors poured their souls into roles, directors worked with shoestring budgets, and writers crafted stories that reflected the authentic African experience, all while the international spotlight shone elsewhere. But Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche, along with countless colleagues who've built this industry brick by brick, never stopped believing. They kept acting, kept creating, kept pushing boundaries. And now the world isn't just watching. The world is applauding. When Trump mentioned their names, he wasn't just recognizing two individuals, he was acknowledging an entire movement, an entire industry, an entire nation's creative spirit that refused to be ignored. Maurice Sam isn't your typical actor who showed up for fame and paychecks. This man treats every role like a sacred responsibility, like he's carrying the stories of millions on his shoulders. Watch him on screen and you'll see something rare, complete transformation. Whether he's playing a struggling father trying to feed his family, a young man navigating the chaos of Lagos streets, or a village chief dealing with modernization clashing against tradition, Maurice disappears into these characters so completely that you forget you're watching fiction. His secret. He doesn't just memorize lines and hit marks. He studies the heartbeat of Nigeria, the laughter in crowded markets, the tension in political debates, the warmth of family gatherings, the hustle of entrepreneurs chasing dreams. Then he channels all of that lived experience into performances that feel so authentic, viewers swear they're watching their own relatives on screen. That's not acting, that's cultural preservation through storytelling. That's taking the essence of what it means to be Nigerian and broadcasting it to the world in a language everyone understands, emotion. What makes Maurice particularly special is his gift for balance, the ability to make you laugh until your stomach hurts in one scene, then break your heart completely in the next. Comedy and tragedy aren't separate skills for him, they are two sides of the same coin, just like real life. Any Nigerian knows this truth deeply. We crack jokes at funerals, we find humor in hardship, we laugh to keep from crying. Maurice captures this complexity beautifully. His comedic timing is impeccable, landing punchlines with the ease of someone who grew up around the best storytellers, those uncles and aunties who could hold an entire room captive with nothing but their words and expressions. But when the script demands depth, when a scene requires you to confront pain, loss, or injustice, Maurice delivers with such raw honesty that viewers feel it in their bones. This range, this versatility, this commitment to authentic storytelling is exactly why his work resonates far beyond entertainment. He's not just making people feel good for 90 minutes. He's holding up a mirror to society, celebrating our strengths, acknowledging our struggles, and reminding us that our stories matter. Then there's Sonia Uche, a name that has become synonymous with excellence in Nollywood. If you've followed her career, you've watched an artist who never settles, never coasts, never phones it in. From her earliest roles to her most recent performances, Sonia has consistently raised the bar for what it means to be a dedicated actress in this industry. She possesses that rare quality that separates good actors from unforgettable ones: presence. The moment she appears on screen, something shifts. Your attention locks in. You believe her completely, whether she's portraying a corporate executive navigating boardroom politics, a young woman fighting against oppressive traditions, a mother sacrificing everything for her children, or a lover caught in impossible circumstances. Sonia doesn't have a type because she refuses to be boxed in. She's played vulnerable characters with such tenderness that audiences wept, and she's portrayed powerful figures with such commanding authority that you'd follow her into battle. This versatility isn't accidental, it's the result of serious craft, deep preparation, and an unwavering commitment to honoring every character she brings to life. What Trump recognized in Sonia, and what millions of fans across continents have always known, is that she represents the evolution of African cinema. She's part of a generation that said, we don't have to choose between staying authentic and achieving global standards. We can do both. Sonia's performances carry the soul of Nigerian storytelling while meeting technical and artistic standards that rival anything produced in London, Los Angeles, or Mumbai. She studied her craft seriously, she continues to grow with every role, and she approaches acting not as a job but as a calling. Young women across Nigeria see Sonia and realize that success doesn't require abandoning your roots or imitating Western models. You can be unapologetically African, tell distinctly Nigerian stories, work within Nollywood, and still become a global icon. That's powerful. That's transformative. That's the kind of representation that changes what young people believe is possible for themselves. Sonia isn't just an actress, she's a walking, talking testament to the fact that African women can dominate any field they choose with grace, intelligence, talent, and determination. But let's zoom out for a second and talk about the elephant in the room, Nollywood itself. 15 or 20 years ago, if you mentioned Nollywood in international circles, you'd get polite smiles at best, dismissive laughter at worst. The industry was seen as quaint, low budget, not serious cinema. Critics pointed to production limitations, technical challenges, distribution struggles. What those critics missed entirely was the beating heart of what made Nollywood special from the beginning: authentic African storytelling on our own terms. While Hollywood was feeding global audiences the same recycled narratives with African characters as sidekicks or stereotypes, Nollywood was producing thousands of films where Africans were the heroes, the lovers, the thinkers, the dreamers, the complex human beings we actually are. These films weren't made with $100 million budgets or massive studio backing. They were made with passion, hustle, creativity, and an unshakable belief that our stories deserve to be told. And audiences responded. Not just in Nigeria, not just in Africa, but across the diaspora and beyond. People who'd been starved for representation suddenly had access to content that reflected their experiences, their families, their realities. Today, Nollywood isn't asking for a seat at the global table anymore, we're building our own table and inviting everyone to join. The industry produces more films annually than Hollywood. The economic impact runs into billions of naira, providing jobs for actors, directors, producers, writers, makeup artists, costume designers, set builders, caterers, drivers, an entire ecosystem of creative professionals making a living through storytelling. Streaming platforms that once ignored African content now fight for exclusive rights to Nollywood productions because they've realized what we always knew: these stories travel. A housewife in Seoul gets hooked on a Nigerian drama. A college student in Brazil binges Nollywood comedies. A retiree in London discovers Nollywood thrillers and can't stop watching. The universal themes of love, family, ambition, betrayal, redemption, triumph, these transcend language and geography when told with authenticity and skill. Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche are standard bearers of this global Nollywood movement, proving that you don't need to abandon your cultural identity to achieve international recognition. In fact, it's precisely their Nigerianness, their commitment to authentic storytelling rooted in our experiences, that makes them so compelling to global audiences. Here's what gets overlooked in discussions about entertainment: the profound impact that art has on everyday survival. We talk about Nollywood's economic contributions, its diplomatic soft power, its cultural preservation, all true and important. But let's get real about something even more fundamental. Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche help people make it through hard days. In a country where millions wake up uncertain about electricity, frustrated by traffic, stressed about inflation, worried about security, anxious about the future, entertainment isn't a luxury. It's oxygen. It's therapy. It's hope packaged in a 2-hour film that costs less than a meal. When a tired trader finishes a long day at the market, goes home exhausted, and turns on a movie featuring Maurice making her laugh so hard she forgets her aching feet, that's not trivial. That's relief. That's medicine. When a young woman facing pressure to conform to expectations that don't fit her dreams watches Sonia portray a character who fights for her independence and wins, that's not just entertainment. That's inspiration. That's permission to imagine a different path. The emotional labor that actors like Maurice and Sonia perform is real and valuable. They carry our collective joys and pains, they give voice to experiences we struggle to articulate, they create shared cultural moments that bring strangers together. Think about how many friendships started because two people bonded over a Nollywood film. Think about how many family gatherings centered around watching and discussing the latest release. Think about how many people living abroad maintain connection to home culture through these films. This is why Trump's recognition of Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche matters so deeply, not because we need American validation to know our artists are brilliant, but because it signals that the world is finally catching up to what we've known all along. Nigerian creativity is world-class. Nigerian storytelling is powerful. Nigerian artists deserve every flower, every accolade, every standing ovation they receive. What's particularly beautiful about this moment is the message it sends about the permanence of artistic legacy. Political administrations change. Economic cycles fluctuate. Policies shift. But art. Great art endures. The performances Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche have given are now preserved forever, accessible to future generations who will study them, enjoy them, learn from them. Long after current political leaders are footnotes in history books, people will still be watching these actors work, still being moved by their craft, still finding meaning in the stories they help tell. That's the ultimate power of creativity, it outlasts everything else. When archaeologists dig up evidence of ancient civilizations, what do they find? Art. Stories. Expressions of human experience. Thousands of years from now, if anyone wants to understand what Nigeria was like in this era, they'll watch Nollywood films. They'll see Maurice Sam capturing the hustle and humor and heart of Nigerian life. They'll see Sonia Uche embodying the strength and complexity of Nigerian women. And they'll understand us, not through dry historical records, but through the living, breathing, feeling truth that only art can convey. This is also a crucial reminder that success doesn't have to follow a Western template. You don't have to move to Hollywood to matter. You don't have to abandon your accent, change your name, or bleach your identity for acceptance. Maurice and Sonia built their careers in Lagos, telling Nigerian stories for Nigerian audiences first, and the world came to them. That's a blueprint for the next generation. Stay rooted. Tell your truth. Hone your craft. Excellence will find its audience. We live in an era where young Nigerians sometimes feel pressure to look elsewhere for validation, to believe that making it means escaping to Europe or America. But here's proof that you can plant your flag right here, in Nigerian soil, in African soil, and grow into a global phenomenon without transplanting yourself. The recognition Maurice and Sonia received is confirmation that the path they chose, the harder part of building something sustainable at home, was the right one. Let's also acknowledge the weight of representation that these artists carry, whether they ask for it or not. Every time Maurice Sam appears on screen, he's not just Maurice. To millions of viewers, he represents what Nigerian men can be: thoughtful, funny, strong, vulnerable, complex, fully human. Every time Sonia Uche delivers a powerful performance, She's not just Sonia, she's proof that Nigerian women are forces to be reckoned with, capable of commanding attention, respect, and admiration on any stage. This is the burden and blessing of being excellent in fields where people who look like you have been historically excluded or marginalized. Your individual achievement becomes collective victory. Your recognition opens doors for those coming behind you. When Trump praised these two actors, he acknowledged not just their personal talent, but the generations of Nigerian artists who laid the groundwork, who struggled without recognition, who kept creating even when the world wasn't watching. This moment belongs to everyone who believed in Nollywood when it was still finding its footing, everyone who invested in Nigerian storytelling when it seemed risky, everyone who chose to stay and build rather than seek easier opportunities elsewhere. There's something profoundly moving about watching people get the flowers they deserve while they can still smell them. Too often, we wait until artists are gone to celebrate their contributions, to acknowledge their impact, to recognize their genius. Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche are still creating, still growing, still reaching new heights, and they are receiving recognition in real time. That's special. That's as it should be. And it challenges all of us to be more generous with our appreciation for the artists, creators, and dreamers in our midst. Don't wait for international validation to celebrate Nigerian excellence. Don't wait for foreign leaders to tell you what you should have already known. Look around at the incredible talent in this country, in film, music, literature, visual arts, fashion, technology, and give them their roses now. Support their work. Share their creations. Celebrate their wins. Create an ecosystem where excellence is nurtured and rewarded at home, not just when the world finally pays attention. The story of Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche receiving presidential recognition is ultimately a story about possibility. It's proof that talent, hard work, dedication, and authenticity can break through every barrier. It's confirmation that the stories we tell about ourselves matter deeply and have the power to reshape how the world sees us. It's evidence that you don't have to choose between staying true to your roots and achieving global success. In fact, your roots might be exactly what makes you unstoppable. For every young person in Nigeria right now who's been told their dreams are too big, who's been advised to be unrealistic, who's facing pressure to abandon creative pursuits for safer paths, look at Maurice and Sonia. They followed their passion, perfected their craft, stayed authentic, and now the most powerful person in the world knows their names. That's not luck. That's what happens when preparation meets opportunity, when talent meets determination, when cultural pride meets global excellence. So here's your call to action, because inspiration without action is just entertainment. Support Nollywood. Not just by watching films, though that matters. Share the work that moves you. Recommend these films to friends across the world. Invest in the industry if you can. Advocate for better infrastructure, funding, and distribution. Celebrate Nigerian artists loudly and consistently, not just when international validation arrives but because their work intrinsically deserves celebration. If you're a young creative reading this, take Maurice and Sonia as proof that your path is valid, that excellence built on authentic Nigerian storytelling can compete with anything the world produces. Study your craft seriously. Tell your truth unapologetically. Stay rooted while reaching for the stars. And to everyone else, recognize that when you support Nigerian art, you're not just consuming entertainment, you're participating in cultural preservation, economic development, and the reshaping of global narratives about who we are and what we're capable of achieving. Maurice Sam and Sonia Uche received their flowers from the White House, but the real power lies in us ensuring that every talented Nigerian artist knows their work matters, their stories resonate, and their contributions are building a legacy that will outlast all of us. Now go watch some Nollywood, support some Nigerian artists, and be part of the movement that's proving African creativity is unstoppable.